Before I tuck in for the night, I wanted to make a video that talks about general props, things that you can use in any of your classrooms. Now, of course, I can tell you're looking at my ears, and yes, those are something that you can surprisingly use in almost any classroom that you have. We may think of them as something that you might want to use in a classroom for little kids, or maybe a lesson on cats. However, in reality, middle school students can totally relate to you wearing ears. Now, I'm sure that some of you fellows out there are wondering, how are you going to wear ears? Think of something else. You could use a really funny hat like I have here. It's kind of embarrassing, but I really do wear this hat in my classes. I use it for many different things. This is Perry the Platypus. This is a quite attractive hat that came from the men's section in Walmart a number of years ago. But you know what? It has staying power. For whatever reason, I can use this in classes when we talk about weather, when we talk about temperatures, we talk about seasons, clothing, or we talk about anything that, I don't know, maybe Perry the Platypus is applicable to. So I wanted to, again, highlight things you can use in all your classes. Funny ears, mouse ears, birthday hats, crowns, and Perry the Platypus hats aside, some of the really key elements of a good teaching experience for your students is visual support, visual appeal, and multisensory learning. As an ESL teacher, you want to relate to your students. More importantly, you want your students to relate to you. To do that, you want to bridge the gap between the language that they cannot speak and the basic language they do understand. How do you do that? One of the ways, according to Krashen's theory, is to give them things that they know in their own language or can identify with in their own culture. Again, who doesn't love a cat? The basis of this video is what can you use in all classes. So, besides funny ears and mouse ears, birthday hats, crowns, and silly hats, there are a number of things you can use that will help you convey your message to the students without a lot of incidental language, without relying too heavily on TPR, which is great, but there are times when your TPR may not line up with the understanding of the students. And we can always do this so many times, but the reality is, what else can you do? Visual support is one of those things. Now, how many teachers have run out and grabbed themselves a couple of these when they first started teaching? I'm sure most of us have. I no longer really use these. Thus, my writing, dry erase, question mark, whiteboard, question mark, or DIY. I have discovered a way to create a lot of dry erase boards that are a lot handier, a lot cheaper, and a lot more fruitful in my classroom setting. So take a look at this. These are index cards that are blanks, they aren't ruled, and I used a 4x6 pouch for my laminator, which I picked up very cheaply at Walmart, and created a ton of these small, manageable little whiteboards, if you want to use that term. And I have so many of them that I can do an entire night's classes. I can have 6 or 7 classes in one night and have enough of these to create sentence frames, prompts. I can draw pictures. I can turn them into temporary flashcards. I can give expressions. I can even draw cartoons on them and use them in my classes. 1 second later, get the old rag. I don't even use an eraser anymore. I just use a rag, all of my handy dandy pens, and I create things for my classrooms. This is something that I feel very strongly about. It's very cheap, and you can make yourself a nice little caddy with pens, a reusable little cardboard box I found, some spray, an erasing mechanism of your choice, and your collection of little dry erase boards. Again, very simple. You can personalize for each lesson, but you're not constrained by something that only works in these lessons, doesn't work in those lessons. In the case of the dry erase board, if you can see behind me, I use a lot of backlighting. I use professional front lighting. One of the issues I have, besides glasses glaring, is glaring on the whiteboard. So I've been testing various different types of paper that I can still use the magnetic backing on. If for some reason I need to place something on there, I can, but I'm not a fan of the glare. I don't like the glare. I think it's distracting to the students. Ergo, I go with these. So you can use them in all your classes. They're very handy, very essential prop, and something you can personalize. Something else that I also have used my laminator for is to create little signs. Again, this is something that applies to all your classrooms. You can make these for every single prompt or every single direction you want to offer. You can use these to back up your TPR. We have boys talk, girls talk. Again, dollar store, I went and I purchased some of these fancy yard sale things. I am also a big fan of the blue, yellow, green, purple painting tape, painter's tape. I tape the dollar store coffee stirrers on the back, and I have little signs. Again, you can use these boys talk, girls talk. They help you when you encourage your students. I also have furthered that idea with making even more colorful cards for the younger students or to change things up. So I have girls, boys. I want teams to go. I want to have students reading certain sentences on the lesson. Boys read, girls read. If that's not enough, you can have these little friends. Again, these aren't even laminated. These are just paper printed on a stick. I can use he, she, they, we. He said. I can demonstrate anything using just these two. Or I can also have boys and girls called on to speak, group talk, or anything like that. One step beyond that, girls read, boys read. Just an index card. One day I will laminate this, but again, I like to draw, so I don't mind coloring and creating little things like this. Don't like that? Go with yellow. Again, boys talk, girls talk. Boys read, girls read. Again, these are small devices for you to use as a teacher to help reduce TPR, relying on the same actions over and over again, and also to reduce all of the incidental talk, which is something that I personally struggle with. So using these has helped me convey my messages to the students and also allows me to hold it into the camera, point at it, and the students can see it very closely. That's all they can see. They know what I want. The teacher can also build on that if there is an active teacher in the classroom. So again, something simple you can make. If you don't like doing your own drawings, feel free to type up something, laminate it, or have one of your friends make it for you, or purchase little signs like I did. These can also be drawn on because I laminated them, but then I chose to make little things, right on there. But those are just two examples of one idea that I have expanded into a lot of different props that provide lots of visual interest. It's not the same repetitive thing, but it gives the students a chance to connect to what is the teacher doing in the window. Just one idea. A couple of other items that are probably very important to have in any classroom, some sort of noisemaker. This one, most of you will probably recognize from the dollar store. This serves a lot of purposes. One, it's noisy. Two, I can count on it. Three, I can high five with it. I can talk to it. I can demonstrate with it. I can do a lot of things with it. I can also just make a lot of noise. Also, noisemakers. I like to use different noisemakers, especially when the students are either not paying attention or they are starting to doze off and you can see their eyes going back in their heads. I like to get attention from them, but I don't always want to do it the same way. Dollar store. Oh no, I'm sorry, this was Goodwill. This was actually a broken toy I found, but I always wanted to have a noisy little creature like this to use for my students. I also am a big proponent of the bell. Again, this came from a True Value hardware store for $4.99. Who doesn't love that? Order up. Also, another Goodwill find, the brass bell. This works great. Students will see me pull this out and they know here comes the bell. For students that are prepared and involved in the lesson, this is a good cue. For students who are not paying attention, this is also a great way to get their attention without having to raise your voice and, I don't know, break bad with them. So those are a few things. A couple other items that I think are important for teaching: something to point with, something to get attention with, something to make directions with, something to say over there, over here, him, they, that, this. Again, I love these things. I didn't even remember where I got it. I think when I was student teaching, I got this. A flower pen. I like to use flowers for a lot of different demonstrations: color, smell, actions, everything. Sometimes I give them to my students. Funny enough, it's the older students that really prefer getting a flower. Another flower. What I'm demonstrating here is that you can take a few very simple items and personalize them as you need for every single class. If I'm doing a class and we're using the dice feature, how many of you get frustrated when you hit it and after a while it keeps hitting the same number over and over again? Here's a fix for you. I use these a lot. I took them, I drew on them little foamy dice. I also found at a teaching store the dry erase one because I feel it's important to change this as I need. I use the vis-a-vis wet erase markers so that they are semi-permanent, but all it takes is a little bit of water and whoosh, it's gone. So I can put names of students, I can put boys, I can put girls, I can put colors, I can put numbers. Basically, I can use it for whatever I want in any class that I'm doing. If the lesson is about, let's say, animals, I can actually write the names of animals on here and use this to determine who's going to speak when. If the lesson is about cardinal directions, I can write north, southeast, southwest, and whatever I want on this and use it to dictate who's going to go, who's going to speak when. Pick a topic, whatever it is that you're thinking of. So again, things that you can use in many different ways are probably the best simple props that you can get. You want to get a little crazy, get some ears. You don't have to wear ears, clearly. I do like to wear hats, and I also like to make funny sounds. Some of the other things that I use, again, in the noise making department, I like to use one of these. And I also went and found these crazy boards at the dollar store that had colors, had some visual appeal, and a few of the other ones have cartoons on them and a full area to write on, like a regular dry erase board. The kids that love these the most, Captain America, I think I have Ninja Turtles, a number of these different dollar store boards, the middle schoolers and the high schoolers incidentally loved them the most. And you could see them in the background talking like pss, 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 pss. All of a sudden they were really interested in what I was doing, but I didn't do anything out of the ordinary other than use this dry erase board to demonstrate a sentence frame, a key structure, and some vocabulary. But the students actually were drawn into that because I had this Ninja Turtle board. Long story short, those are some ideas for some props that you can use in a general setting. Any class that you're in, you can use them for. Later, I will do another video on more specialized props that I have used. I will show a very deep box that I maintain all of my sentence frames and flashcards and things like that. And I will go into that in more depth in a different video. For now, this was just sort of a primer. What can I use? Just basic things to create some props in my classroom that provide visual appeal, that offer the students an opportunity to bridge that gap and connect to the curriculum, and also things just to keep it interesting. So, Teacher Felicia is out, and have a great day. Thank you.